So it's new flashlight day. I have 3 new flashlights here to talk about. Actually 4, as you guys can see, but 2 of these are the exact same light, just different colors. The first one here is the Sofern SP31 version 3, and then the next one here is the Claris Flat Tack X1, and then these 2 over here is the Workhorse HD01 UV version. It's actually available in 2 different versions. This one, which has the UV light, and there's also one that's available with the green laser. And over the past year or so, I'd say, we've seen many flat style flashlights released by almost every single company. It became a trend. The trend of releasing your flashlight in a flat body and try to pack as many features as they possibly can into that light. A white light, a UV, a green laser, and RGB. And the Workhorse HD01 UV is definitely guilty of that. The Claris Flat Tack X1 right here doesn't have any of those gimmicks. It's just a white light flashlight. But I'll quickly go over the features to each one of these flashlights, starting with this guy right here, the Sofern SP31 version 3. So let's put these off to the side here. I'll give you guys a close-up of the SP31 version 3. And this is definitely your standard, more traditional looking everyday carry flashlight. In fact, I love this size for everyday carry. I don't want my EDC flashlights being too big, and I think the SP31 version 3 is a perfect size. So it has 5 different brightness levels here, plus 3 special modes: SOS, beacon, and strobe. A maximum output of 2,000 lumens, a maximum throw of 269 meters, a max candela of 18,100. That's really impressive, but that just means it's going to have a very intense hotspot. The dust and waterproof rating is IP68, 1 meter impact resistance. And if I look right down the barrel there, that is an SST40 LED with a color temperature of about 6,000 to 6,500 Kelvin. There's dual switches. There's a tail switch and a side switch there. So dual switches, you have to turn the flashlight on with the tail switch and then switch your grip around to the side switch here and switch the modes. That, to me, is a slight negative to the SP31 version 3. Meaning I wish you can turn it on with this side switch as well to cycle through the 3 cyclable brightness levels, low, medium, and high, and then instant access to turbo back here or strobe. You know, give me something like that. But here, you can see that side switch doesn't do anything until the flashlight is turned on. And while it's on, you can see that intense hotspot right there. Cool white color temperature in that beam. So for my everyday carry flashlights, and if you guys watch my channel, you know this, I don't want a really spotty beam profile for my everyday carry. I don't need that intense hotspot for every day. I just want a nice, evenly spread, floody beam. But the body here feels really nice. At 6061 T6 aluminum, pretty standard in flashlight bodies these days. Feels really nice and high quality. Doesn't feel like a cheap aluminum. You can see the ridges right there around the center of the body. Gives it some nice grip. It has a split ring removable pocket clip right there, not deep carry. Tabs right there on the tail, so you can tail stand it. So that is a huge plus for me. If I'm going to carry a flashlight every day, it must be able to tail stand. And let's just check out the battery for the heck of it. It's an 18650, 3000 milliamp hour 18650. It's non-proprietary, and check this out. Dual springs there. I love it. So the SP31 version 3 has a lot going for it, except for, you know, that tail switch thing, not being able to turn on the flashlight with the side switch. I'm not really sure why they went that route, but if I want to take my flashlight out of my pocket, it's usually in this orientation. So I just want to be able to do this. And if I want to hit turbo, generally I would just flip it around and do a quick burst of turbo like this and flip it back around for my normal modes. So that's really my only gripe about this flashlight. Actually, I do have one more gripe about this flashlight, and that's with the UI. And the UI is simple enough. I know I've been talking about how I don't like that you can't turn it on through the side switch, but it's still simple enough. Turn on that tail switch there and then single press that side switch to cycle the brightness levels there. And there is a 1 lumen moonlight mode, which is awesome, but it has a really funky way to activate that moonlight mode. Normally you would just press and hold whatever switch from off to activate moonlight. But remember, that side switch is dead unless you press that tail switch in. Here, what they want you to do is press and hold the side switch and then press in the tail switch. There's your 1 lumen moonlight mode. Yeah, I really don't like that. And that kind of sucks because this has a lot going for it. It just has a few little quirks that's kind of holding me back from fully recommending this flashlight. And don't worry, I'm going to take all 3 of these flashlights outside at the end of this video to do a quick beam test, just so you guys can see the beam profiles for each one of these lights. But let's move on here. Let's start talking about this guy right here, the Claris Flat Tack X1. And this is a larger flat style flashlight. If I bring in a couple to compare it to, this is the Nikkor EDC 23, and I'll hold those up side by side like that. And this right here is the Rovivon E30 Angel Eyes. You can see the size differences there. And of course, I'm just talking about the length. This is the Olight Arcfeld Ultra, and then the Nikkor EDC 27 UHI. So it's even longer than the 27 UHI right there. So like I said, it's a little bit larger than I'm used to here. So let's talk about some of these features. It has a maximum output of 4,200 lumens, a max throwing distance of 185 meters on high. I say that because they're not really giving a throwing distance for that turbo. Or the Candela. The Candela is 9,360, but that's also on high. And I haven't thrown this on my lumen tester yet, so I can't really test any of those. I'm not going to. This isn't going to be a full review, but I just thought it was interesting that they're giving us numbers on high other than turbo at 4,200 lumens. 6 brightness levels plus 3 special SOS beacon and strobe, and everything is controlled with 2 switches right here, primary and the auxiliary switch. And the Flat Tack X1 is the only flashlight that I'm showing you today with an OLED display. It's a limited OLED display, but it's still there. Inside, there's a built-in 2150 milliamp hour battery that's charged with the USB-C charging port right there on the side. And yeah, it does have a rubber flap to protect that port. That's nice. It has a dust and waterproof rating of IPX6. It's good, but not great. That just means the dust proofing wasn't tested, and the 6 means it can be hit with high-powered water jets from any angle. You just can't submerge it into water. And if you look right down the center there, you can see those 4 ceramic beads. So they are calling this a tactical style flashlight, with those 4 ceramic beads acting as your striking bezel, and then of course the tactical style tail switches right here. And in this orientation, it does feel pretty good. That flat design is very comfortable. And you can see how my thumb rests on those 2 tail switches right there. That's just because of the design of the Flat Tack X1 right there. You can see that wedged design. So when I'm holding this overhand, it does feel fairly natural. Now check out the non-removable pocket clip. There is a lot sticking above your pockets there. They went really far down with the mounting position of this pocket clip. Some of you may like that, some may not. For me, I think it's almost too much sticking above your pockets there. That's a lot. But other than that, I do like this flashlight. I don't, however, like that built-in battery, but everything else is straightforward, and I do like the UI here with these dual tail switches. Single click that primary switch right there, and it starts on high and then works its way backwards. And yeah, you can see it dim right there when I go to high. That's because of that proximity sensor right there. Focus, there we go. So that's the proximity sensor. Also, since it does start on high, I'm about 2 feet above the table. If I move in, about right there, about 6 inches from the table, it's starting to dim. But if I go back up, it doesn't go back up to high. So it's one of those that doesn't step back up. That is a big negative for me, and I know it's a big negative for a lot of you. But I do like the fact that it starts on high and then works its way backwards. Plus, if you press and hold from off, that activates the 4200 lumen turbo. So it's a 4200 lumen burst and is not sustainable. And that is really bright. Look at that. That is very, very bright. And there's no dimming action on that turbo. That's interesting. Probably because that is a burst mode. So it's not going to be a sustainable brightness level. So there's no need to really dim that. So I do like the UI here. And this auxiliary switch, if you single click it, takes you right to that 1 lumen moonlight mode. Boom, right there. Instant access to turbo and instant access to moonlight. That's nice. Press and hold for strobe warning. Press and hold for strobe. Very nice. And then double click for the SOS and beacon modes. And before I move on, let me give you a look at this OLED display. And it's saying near because I'm close to the table. But if I show you that display, you can see everything that's involved there. There we go. Still a very cool flashlight. It does come with a little tactical ring right there. I don't have this version, but you can see you can get one with a little finger loop right there. That's really cool. And a little glass breaker on the end of that, it looks like. I'm guessing that's a ceramic bead. I don't know. I don't have it. But yeah, the Chloris Flat Tack X1. Now let's move on to the last flashlight, the Workhorse HD01 UV. And believe it or not, this is the most surprising flashlight that I'm showing you guys today. I was really surprised by this flashlight. Not only because I think it's the best flashlight of the three that I'm showing you today, but traditionally, I haven't been a big fan of this company regarding their flashlights. I have a few of their flashlights that I really don't like. So I wasn't really excited about this flashlight until I took it out of the box and started using it. And like I said, it definitely surprised me. So it's available in these two colors right here, black and purple. But that's because it's the UV version. There's also a green laser version that's available in 3 colors. And that green laser version is less expensive than this UV version right here. The green laser version you can get for under 29 bucks. I mean, if it's the exact same flashlight as this, just adding a green laser and getting rid of the UV light, that is a fantastic deal. As is this UV version, I believe right now is under 40 bucks. Fantastic. You're getting a spotlight in the front. You're getting a flood side light right there. This version also has a UV light in the front and RGB lights packed in this side light. The spotlight has a max of 1200 lumens, 157 meters of throw, and 6175 candela. And this side light has a maximum output, at least in the white light mode, of 180 lumens and 98 candela. This side light is pretty bright, and everything is controlled with these 2 buttons right there on the top, the front button and the rear button. The body's made of 6061 T6 aluminum with a Type 3 hard anodized finish. And this pocket clip, you can see it's a 2-way pocket clip right there. Almost deep carry, but not quite. And inside there's a built-in 1200 milliamp hour lithium polymer battery that's charged with the USB-C charging port right there on the side. There you go. And yes, I'm not the biggest fan of that built-in battery, but that's probably the biggest negative I have of this flashlight. Oh, and it has a magnetic mounting tail. Very, very cool. Very strong too. So you can see it can hold up its own body weight, completely horizontal and vertical. And obviously, since it has the flat tail, you can tail stand it. But I really do like this flashlight. So it does have battery life indicators right there, glowing green. That means I'm over 50%. And because I pressed that front button right there, it activated the white light mode. So single click to turn it on, press and hold to cycle through the 3 brightness levels, low, medium, and high. Double click for turbo, that's 1200 lumens. Single click to turn it off, press and hold from off to activate moonlight mode. Pretty simple. Double click the side light and it activates the white light modes. Press and hold for the 3 brightness levels. You can see low, medium, high, 180 lumens. That's really bright and it is a diffused light. And this side light makes the HD01 really versatile, as you guys can already see. Plus, you can activate the side light and the front light at the same time. That's a really smart move by Workhorse. I like that. So that was double pressing that rear switch. If you just single click it, it activates that UV light. That's a very bright UV light. That's a 975 milliwatt UV light. So yeah, that is really nice. Single click to turn it off, and if you press and hold the side light from off, it'll activate the RGB lights. And once you're on the RGB mode, if you press and hold, it'll start cycling through all the different colors here. Now, one thing I noticed about the RGB modes here is if I miss the exact color because it's a slow cycle, usually with some other flashlights that I have with this same feature, I can let go, press and hold, and it'll reverse those colors, but not this one. It's just going to keep cycling forward. So I wish if I let go and then pressed it again, it would go backwards, but it doesn't. And once you find the color you're looking for, if you double press that rear switch again, it'll activate a flash. So I like this as a spare emergency flashlight for my car, especially with that magnetic mounting tail right there. Put this on the side of your car if you break down and activate this red flash. I think this is a nice emergency light. And if you triple click that rear button there, it'll activate the gimmicky RGB modes that have to be packed into all these flashlights. I sort of wish Workhorse left this out. And then double press to cycle through the gimmicky modes. There's a cop light, double press. There is a party mode. I dislike this so much. I just wish they would leave that out. Double click. There's like a RGB drip. Why? And then double click again for the police modes. Completely useless. It might be fun to look at one time, but after that, there's no real world applications for any of these other than the solid RGB lights and then, of course, that flash. That's useful. But being under 40 bucks right now, I think this is a fantastic deal and easily one of the most functional flashlights that I showed you today. Very surprised by this flashlight. That's going to make it into my normal rotation for sure. So what do you guys think of the Workhorse HD01? Right there, the Clarus Flat Tack X1 and then the Sofern SP31 version 3. Let me know in the comments below. And I bet you guys thought I forgot about the beam test. Nope. Well, I almost did. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, let's do the beam test. Let's start with the Sofern light here. So start right there on low. Medium. And I'm going to put up a distance between me and that barn right there, which I'm definitely kissing there. And that tree, just so you guys have a reference point. There's high, and then there's turbo. Whoa. What the heck was that? Got a lot of bats flying around here. That wasn't a bat. That was just a giant moth. But you can see it's a fairly spotty flashlight. And like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of really spotty flashlights for everyday carry. You can see that profile right there. Really spotty. High candela, 18,100 candela in that hot spot right there. So this is the Sofern light. Give you guys a nice idea of what that beam looks like. And let's go to the Flat Tack Clarus right here, Flat Tack X1. So it's going to start out on high. Boom. And this is a much floodier flashlight, obviously. So there's high. So let's go backwards. Boom, boom, boom. And there's off. So 1, 2, 3, 4, off. And then press and hold for turbo. That's 4,200 lumens. And I didn't do a turbo test on this, so I'm not really sure how long we're going to get, but this is lighting up my whole back right here. It is a really floody light, very evenly spread beam. There we go. It just dimmed. So however long that was, that's how long you're going to get on turbo. And now let's try out the Workhorse HD01 UV. Medium, high, low, medium, high. So it's hitting the tree, definitely hitting the barn there. Double press for turbo. So only 1,200 lumens here, but, you know, for everyday carry, this is plenty. This is plenty of light. Even medium. Let's go back to medium there. Low, medium, right there. So the nice sweet spot. Most applications, this is all I need right there. And now let's turn that off, and I'm going to show you guys the side light here. So double press for that side light. Not really seeing much on low, but medium, high. There's high. So that is a nice area that is lighting up. I really like this side light here. Very, very useful. And then turn that off, press and hold for the colors, and you're not going to get much on these color modes. I don't know the exact lumen output. I tried to find it in their user manual, but it's not there. But you guys get the idea. All right, that's basically it. I just wanted to give you guys a nice idea of what these beam profiles look like. Let's go back inside. All right, that's pretty much it for this video. What'd you think of the 3 flashlights from Sofern, Clarus, and Workhorse? If you want to check them out for yourself, I will have links down below in my description box. But if you did enjoy this video, please give me that thumbs up. Please subscribe and go.